Okay. All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. If we could have a seat, please. We are ready to get started. All right. Just a couple things before we get started. I do want to note, and I'll say it in Spanish as well. We had an application for the church. I don't know if there's people here that were here for that application. That application has been withdrawn. Being withdrawn means that the applicant is not going to move forward anymore with this project. So he's withdrawn that, and then all the other items that were on the agenda specific to that item, yeah, all those have been withdrawn. Okay, so la aplicación con el tema de la iglesia, no sé cuánta gente hay aquí hoy para esa aplicación, ya no va a estar considerada. El aplicante removió la aplicación y ya no vamos a escuchar ese tema más. Anymore. I mean, well, anymore until whenever, if they ever decide to come back. Okay. So you don't have to stick around here and wait, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever the case is. All right. And then also, I again, there's been many things going on, especially the last couple of days. I know there's a lot of emotion. I know there's a lot of passion, but we will conduct today's meeting in an orderly fashion, the way that we've done it all this time. Okay, so I just want to make sure we put that into the record. And City Clerk, let's call the call to order.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Present.
Ms. Perez,
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. Tumidor,
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Thank you, City Clerk. The invocation.
Lord, we thank you for your continuous blessings, and we pray that you continue to guide us in benefit of our city. We also pray for Councilwoman Perez's family during this difficult time. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance led by myself. Please rise.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
Thank you. Presentations.
Mayor Bovo recognizes the City of Hialeah employees for their outstanding performance and dedication with the ISO study.
Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council. We recently received the great news, which really helps our residents in the city of Hialeah by getting the Class 1 rating for our fire department. And really, it's a testament to a collaboration of folks that work together to get that. It involves water pressure, it involves training, it involves protocols, it involves 911. And it's something that the city of Hialeah has consistently, over the last as many years as I could remember, received this Class 1 rating, and they did so again. And I know that during the course of time, there was always talk about, fire hydrants and what have you. The ISO comes and does random testing, and I got to tell you, it was all hands on deck. Our folks came out through flying colors, and we received the Class 1. So I'd like all of you to please join me down so that we could properly recognize all those that were participants, so that we could give them some recognition.
All right.
Uh, Dale, ladies, come on up also. Dale, come on. Come on. Come on, come on. All right. So all the folks that you see up here, with the exception of the council members and myself, all these folks out here made it their mission to make sure that we could meet all the requirements and be able to sustain that class 1 rating. Now, if you're a resident in the city of Hialeah, if you're a homeowner, if you're a taxpayer, why is this important? This is important because having a class 1 rated fire department helps you with your homeowner insurance, helps the city in general. And so each and every person up here did their part. And this was not something that happened overnight. They worked on this for months to make sure that we were ready and prepared. And it was a total team effort led by our chief of our fire department, Willie Guerra. Thank you for leading that effort and making sure that everything came in on time. So I'll just call out the names, but they each had a role in this. Some might have been administrative. Some may actually be grunt work that was out there doing the work, and we truly appreciate a lot of chiefs. As you all know, fire department has a lot of chiefs. Okay. Chief Ray Malin, Edward Altador, Carlos Diaz, Chief Scott, just wave or something so people know who I'm talking about. Chief Scott Disbrow, Humberto Perez, Paul Garcia. Where's Paul? Paul not here. He got caught up. Okay. Captain, we got a captain. All right. Raul Gonzalez, captain. Alex Conesa, Carmen Romo. Carmen, thank you. Appreciate. Chris Munoz. Where's Chris at? Outstanding. Outstanding, Chris. Thank you. I think I know your mom, right? Yeah. A little bit. Okay. Carlos Gonzalez, Nikita Rhodes. Thank you, Nikita. Okay. Ricky Suarez. What's that, Ricky? Back there. IT. Chief Ricky Suarez. He's the chief of IT. That's for sure. Juan Caballo. Juan. ¿No está Juan? No está, no vino. Okay. Jorge González. Jorge tampoco vino. ¿Dónde estoy? Ramiro de Armas. Ramiro tampoco no vino. Okay. Kevin Linsky. I know he's somewhere. No, he likes to hide. He doesn't like the Kevin. Made sure the water pressure was there. Alex Medina. Thank you. Commander George Yanes. 911. 911. Thank you, 911. Miladies Campuzano. Good Italian name. Good Italian name. There's probably good pasta at your house. Absolutely. All right. Ismari Monreal, our chief of staff, Ruth Ruby. All these folks took months out of their schedules just to exclusively work on this, make sure that it was done. And like I said, this is about water pressure, fire hydrants that are working, 911 calls that are being answered, training protocols. For all of you that are residents in the city of Hialeah, this is where your money goes to make sure that these things could get done so that we, all of us as residents here, benefit. You all deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much for all you do. Okay. Let's give it to the chief. Let the chief handle repartiendo todo el mundo.
As you can see, this is a multiple discipline. You got every facet. So it's fire department related, but you have the water department, you have communications. Chief Altador helped spearhead this along with a few other people. But you can see that when one thinks of fire or one thinks of water, you think, oh, that's all they do. But it's a village. Everybody has to help each other to make stuff work. And we scored a very high score, higher score than before. So you should be proud of your fire department and the people who. I don't look scared. Ricky Suarez. Chief Ricky Suarez. Oh, come here, sorry. No. Wait, it's not you, it's me. Miss Ladies. Miss Ruby. Smarty Montreal. Our PIO, Special Events Coordinator, and a bunch of other titles, Carlos Gonzalez. Chris Munoz. Chief of the whole fire department, Nikita Rhodes. Freddie Perez. Do I have to keep on saying chief or can I just go? Carlos Diaz. Chief. We're not going by height. Chief Altador was the one that put a lot of this together. Eddie. Chief Ray Malin. My other half. Chief Paul Garcia, our EM manager. Chief Scott. Chief Scott Disbrow. Another person that assisted, direct assistance was Captain Raul Gonzalez. Commander George Yanes. Chief of Communications. The entire training department, for the City of Hialeah Fire Department. Thank you. Sorry. What girl? Ay, yo almost fell.
All righty. All right, moving on to comments and questions
Registered speaker number 1 is Zoila Escalante,
about what is this about?
complaint regarding condominium.
Okay. Zoila. Oh. No, it's not. I asked. No. No, sí, ahí mismito, mira, en el micrófono eso. No, ahí abajo. Ahí, ahí. Ahí. Sí, lo va a decir, ¿va a hablar en inglés o en español?
No.
En español, ok, so entonces Melissa va a traducir lo que estés haciendo para el récord. Se puede decir algunas palabras, ella traduce y después tú sigues.
Ok,
Si puede empezar con el nombre y dirección.
ok. Mi nombre es Zoila Escalante.
My name is Zoila Escarante.
Yo vivo en el 5300 West 21 Court,
5300 West 21st Court,
apartamento 309, Hialeah,
apartment 309, Hialeah,
Chico 33016.
33016.
Señor, Tundedor, yo he querido venir a hablar con usted o cualquiera de las personas o el alcalde que me pueda ayudar.
I'm
porque
here to-
soy una de
Councilmember Tundidor, I'm here to-
53 familias que vivimos en un condominio que se está cayendo, que no hace
We,
un mes,
we are a family that lives in a condominium that is falling apart.
que tenemos un mes sin con el elevador roto y la oficina de management,
The office management,
que la tenemos desgraciadamente por 20 años ya
we've had it for about 20 years or more,
y no hemos podido deshacernos de ellos. Nos
and we
ha,
have not been able to get rid of them.
nos ha puesto un special assessment en junio 7
They have
de-
placed a special assessment on June 7
del 24, ahora hace unos días,
of
para,
this year of 24, just a few days
entre
ago,
entre otras cosas, arreglar el parqueo que lo hemos tenido así muchos años y nunca se han
and
preocupado
one of
de
the
él.
issues to fix the parking lot that it's been like that for a
Cuando
couple of years.
necesitamos de urgencia el elevador.
When-
Es un edificio de 4
Urgently,
pisos
we need an elevator, and it's a building of 4 floors
donde vivimos personas ya de la tercera edad
where people from the third age already live
y
there.
no hemos tenido a dónde pedir ayuda.
And we don't know where else to go to look for help.
Esa es la petición que queremos hacer,
That is the petition I'm here for today.
que nos ayuden. ¿A
So
dónde
please help
vamos?
us.
Okay. Señora, cuando yo termine, a lo mejor otras personas quieren hablar también, pero te digo que en los últimos, bueno, hasta antes que yo era concejal, yo trabajaba para un senador estatal también, y desde ese entonces nosotros siempre recibíamos quejas que se enfocaban en lo que son los HOAs o los Condo Associations. Te digo que afortunadamente al nivel local, lo que es la ciudad de Hialeah, nosotros no tenemos el poder de regular lo que son los HOA o los Condo Association. Eso está regulado por lo que se llama DBPR, Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Te digo que nosotros hemos hablado antes porque hemos recibido tantas quejas, a ver cuáles son las opciones que podemos hacer nosotros al nivel local para poder ofrecer un poco de alivio. Pero te digo, sinceramente, es el nivel estatal lo que se enfoca en eso. Ahora, podemos nosotros conectarte al representante tuyo o al senador estatal tuyo
Es
para poder si quieren también formalmente someter una queja, también se puede someter por la oficina de ellos. Dime.
Sí, yo estuve en la fiscalía y me mandaron de ahí a que haga un reporte en la policía, que un
I was
caso.
told to do a police
porque
report.
perdón. Y lo hice. Tengo aquí ya el número del caso, pero de ahí no sé
And I
dónde
did a
iba.
police report, and I do have the case number here.
Yeah.
Para tratar de entender, tú fuiste a hacer un reporte policíaco, pero ¿cuál es la queja en ese reporte policíaco?
Me mandaron a reportarlo a la policía. Fui a la estación de policía de Hialeah y me mandaron un oficial a la casa. Entonces yo le abrí todo el file de todas las cosas
Ya.
que tenemos desordenado y él no sé lo que llenó, ¿no? Él llenó cierta información y me dio el número del caso que lo tengo aquí.
Claro. Déjame ser un poquito más específico. Tu denuncia es basado, ¿crees que hubo fraude, robo de dinero?
Todo eso, sí.
Ok, todas esas cosas. Ok,
Sí.
mi oficina, I don't know if Mark is here. Ok, Mark es mi asistente vamos a hacer una reunión para que ella pueda venir a verme y entonces tú me puedes traer los datos y yo con
Ay,
mucho gusto
me
te puedo
encantaría.
conectar.
Sí,
Lo que
sí.
decía el concejal es que la entidad que regula las asociaciones es el Estado. Pero con mucho gusto vamos a ver cómo te podemos ayudar. Estabas hablando algo del parqueo, no sé si es algo de la ciudad.
Todo, es que es todo es un desorden.
Ok, vamos para que vengas y me puedas explicar y al mismo tiempo me trae el reporte policial y todo para yo poder orientarte dónde estamos, ¿ok?
Sí, porque yo me quejé hace años con el departamento de condominios y regulaciones.
Sí.
Sí, y me contestaron, pero parece mentira que dijeran que todo lo que la management, la asociación de management nos impone, tenemos que aceptar.
Bueno, sí y no, sí y no. Todo depende de cuántas personas participan en lo que es la administración, ¿verdad? Las personas que son dueñas, si votan o no. Y en muchos casos vemos que personas no participan y entonces reaccionan cuando ve algo que está pasando. Pero con mucho gusto, quizás este no es el formato para hacerlo, pero
Exactamente.
con mucho gusto
No,
te reúnes con
sí.
Mark y nosotros podemos, quizás mañana o mismo mañana o pasado, poder vernos, ¿ok?
Gracias.
Y,
¿Cómo no?
Muchísimas
¿Cómo no?
y alcalde, y también,
Sí.
Zoila, también el representante Alex Rizzo me mandó un mensaje ahora mismo, también está viendo la reunión de nosotros. Me dijo también, Mark, si también le puedes conectar a ella a la oficina de Alex Rizzo, también podemos buscar una solución.
Ok.
Ok,
Ok, muy amable.
muchas
Gracias.
gracias. Okay, who's next?
Second registered speaker, Manuel Gomez.
Hold on, Manuel. This is regarding an item on the agenda. Yeah, we're not going to do that now during public comments. It's a habit that we've never done before, and it got picked up during a different forum. So it's on the agenda. We'll hear it out on the agenda, and then on second reading, it'll be open for public comments. Okay, perfect.
There are no more registered speakers, sir.
Okay, perfect. I just want to note also, I see some familiar faces. The item regarding the church was withdrawn. And again, we're not going to be hearing that item. None of the items pertaining to that property will be heard. The item was withdrawn by the applicant. Okay, so it's because I see you, Pastor, and I see a couple folks. So you can stay if you'd like, but we're not going to be hearing the item for the time being. Okay, so all right. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. So I guess we're done. So we'll move over to announcements of amendments, corrections to the agenda.
The following items are withdrawn. Board Appointment 9A, LU1, PZ4, and PZ5.
All right, board appointments.
There's none, sir.
All right, consent agenda. Do we have any items that we'd like to pull?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Item V as in Victor.
Item V. Any other item?
Motion otherwise.
We have a
Second.
motion by Councilmember Zogby. We have a second by Perez. Call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except item V.
Okay, item V, please.
Proposed resolution approving a piggyback contract by Cobb County and Carasoft Technology Corporation. Contract number 23-669201. Attached hereto as Exhibit A and authorizing the mayor or his designee and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city to issue a purchase order to CFKAA Holdings LLC, doing business as Altura, in an amount not to exceed $55,555.56, and to execute all necessary or required purchasing documents in furtherance thereof upon review of the city attorney to purchase services for towing call management and approving funding for this purchase from the general funds contractual services account and providing for an effective date.
Councilman Calvo?
Thank you. Well, listen, the reason I wanted to pull this item, I'm so happy to see it before us. And, I thought it was a great opportunity to underscore the importance that this has on our community. And we were just talking about the ISO study and some of the changes that we've been able to implement with our 911 department. This is one of them. So to kind of highlight this for the members of the council and the public, what we've been able to do here, I met with this company, Altura, almost a year ago, and they're a game changer in the space of using technology to help 911 departments across the state of Florida. In fact, they're working with Florida Highway Patrol, some of the other major cities, I believe the city of Miami. And what they do is that they allow, through the use of technology, for the operators to spend more of their time actually answering the calls rather than doing other administrative processes. So what this is a software that is going to do a lot of the automation. They call it an Uber for dispatch management. So essentially, when a police officer is at a scene of an accident, or if there's another reason for a tow that needs to be initiated by the police department, typically the way that this worked beforehand is that the officer would radio dispatch. Dispatch would then have to radio the tow company. And between all these calls, that there was a lot of time and a lot of manual effort being spent on just getting that tow truck driver to the scene. And on the resident's perspective, they're there waiting in the middle of traffic, in the middle of a hot sun, waiting to get their vehicle towed. So with this software, a lot of this process is going to be automated. So there will be a lot less back and forth on the radio. It'll free up a lot of the time, not only for the dispatchers at 911, but also for the police officers on the scene, so they can go and move through calls quicker. So I'm so happy to see this on here. I think this is such a great thing for our city. And with that, I motion.
Thank you, Councilman. So we have a motion by Councilman Calvo, and we have a second by Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, moving on to administrative items. 11A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance repealing and rescinding Hialeah ordinance number 2016-034. Attached here too as Exhibit A, adopted on June 20th, 2016, rezoning the property from R1 One Family District to OPS Office and Professional Services District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's in second reading. Do we have any public comments in the chamber or online?
Motion.
We have
None online, sir.
a motion by Councilman Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, moving on to new business. I'm sorry, unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Okay, do we have any new business?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
No, I'd just like to ask the city attorney if he could walk us through, obviously, I think all of us received today the email from the city clerk's office regarding the executive order from the governor. If the city clerk can just kind of walk us through the provisions in the charter that apply, if any.
Executive order from the governor suspended one of the council members for the federal indictment. That order is effective today. And it is provided in the Florida Constitution in part that the governor may suspend any elected municipal officer indicted for a crime, may be suspended from office until acquitted, and the office filled by appointment for a period of suspension not to extend beyond the term unless those powers are vested elsewhere by law or the municipal charter. That's Florida Constitution, Article 4, Section 7. That suspension is in effect as of today, and I think the clerk has issued a memo to you about another vacancy. I'm not going to speak to that. That will be up to the clerk, but it's created a vacancy under the charter. And again, what the charter provides is in part permanent vacancy resulting from death, resignation, recall, court order, or other lawful action If a seat on the city council becomes permanently vacant by reason of death, resignation, recall, court order, or other lawful action, the vacancy shall be filled by appointment by resolution of a qualified elector who shall also satisfy the residency requirements for candidacy by an affirmative vote of at least 4 council members within 30 days of the occurrence of the vacancy. The appointee, who shall be known as the acting council member, shall exercise all authority of the office of the council member and shall perform the duties and assume the responsibilities of the office. The acting council member shall fill only that portion of the elected council member's term that precedes the next regularly scheduled municipal election or state or federal general election, for which there is sufficient time to adopt a special election ordinance establishing qualifying periods and related provisions. If the city council does not fill the vacancy by appointment within a prescribed time, a special election shall be held, at the earliest time permitted by law.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. Right now, today, with the action of the governor, a clock has started, a 30-day clock, where the council has the prerogative to appoint someone. If the council, for whatever reason, can't reach a decision, then a special election would need to be held at the earliest available convenience. If the council does appoint someone within the 30 days, we still have to have an election, but it would be at the next regularly scheduled election, which there is sufficient time to do so. However, obviously, the council has taken the action previously of taking the month of July off, which would limit our ability to make such a decision. So would it be prudent, based on, everything that we're talking about, that the council basically set a special meeting of the council or reject its previous decision to suspend the meetings in July, so that we can make that decision within the 30 days, or at least discuss it, right? Obviously, we don't have to enter a decision.
Sir, if I may,
go ahead.
so the mayor is calling a special meeting for July 16th at 5:30 PM.
Okay.
And so we're going to publish an ad, as has happened in the past, advising any interested person who wants to be considered to be appointed to submit all documents that are required by a deadline. And so the council will have the time to review all those records and deliberate on July 16th. If the council cannot make a decision by that date, it still gives you sufficient time you have more time, because the clock started today. So
Right.
you have until July 25th to make a decision.
Okay. So
You would still
July-
have sufficient time to call
Tuesday,
another
July
meeting.
16th. Got it. Tuesday, July 16th is when we would have the special meeting. And then
Yes.
what kinds of records are we asking for?
So the only requirement is that the person be a resident elector as of the date of the vacancy 1 year prior.
Right. And as we did previously, will we require prospective applicants to submit a resume? That's what we did.
Or a letter of interest, along with a residency affidavit that they're attesting to the fact that they comply with the resident elector requirement, a copy of their driver's license and their voter registration.
Okay. And then for the city attorney, is there any prohibitions for the council members to interview prospective applicants on their free time? Or is that something that has to be part of an open meeting?
Well, as the council members well know, I do not see anything unlawful with a individual council member speaking to an individual prospective applicant. Of course, any meeting has to be individual only, and 2 or more council members on anything like this would trigger the sunshine law. In the past, I'm sure the council has asked questions of applicants at the meeting where they're being considered, but I don't see anything illegal about, whether a council person decides to do that or not.
Okay, great. And just to wrap this up, so July 16th, let's just, say that day, the council is able to reach a consensus. At what point have we looked into when the next regularly scheduled election is, that we would be able to have the election, in essence, the special election?
November 4th, 2025.
Okay, so you're saying that there would be no possibility of having the election this November.
No, sir,
Okay.
because we would need to submit an ordinance to the county
Okay,
approved calling for a special election by July 26th.
okay, so if we had a special meeting, let's say next week, would there be sufficient time to do an ordinance?
You can't circumvent the appointment by resol because the charter says shall.
Yeah,
So the
the
council-
word shall are, and I'm sorry, Madam City Clerk, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the word shall are words that are mandatory words. So it would suggest that the charter as written is intended to give the council, I think as you said it, the prerogative or the ability, and it uses the word shall to fill the appointment within the time prescribed.
No,
So we don't want to do an end run around the charter.
Nobody's saying that. I'm asking a very specific question. I'm saying if we appoint someone before the special set meeting of July 16th, in other words, we do it tomorrow, or we did it next week, or we did it on Friday, would there be sufficient time to pass an ordinance for a special election in November by July 26th?
Well, first, we would need permission from the supervisor of elections to actually conduct a special election, so I can't answer you that at this moment. Second, you would need 2 readings to adopt an ordinance with at least 10 days in between, because you need to notice in the Miami Herald the second reading of the ordinance.
Okay.
So I do not feel that there is sufficient time, considering the 30 days, and that the deadline for the elections department is July 26th.
Okay, so it is 10 days in between the first and second reading? And
At
just-
least 10
At least
days.
10 days,
Mhm.
okay. So if we have the special meeting on July 16th, as has been scheduled by the mayor, we could on the same meeting approve on first ordinance, the special election in November, and 10 days later, have a second special meeting, July 26th, the deadline, and approve a second reading of the ordinance, and we would comply with the requirements. Is that,
No, sir, that's not correct, because you would need to publish the second reading of the ordinance. You have to consider that if you're calling a meeting for July 16th, if you're asking, well, first of all, the council, in order to call for an ordinance to come back, Rafael, correct me if I'm wrong, you need 4 votes from the council.
And you need 4
Unless
votes from the council
It's
and
the
you.
mayor calling.
And
you.
again, just looking at the plain meaning of the charter, the election is triggered by the council's failure, for whatever reason, to appoint someone within the 4 votes. But what the charter envisions, and in fact, what it clearly provides by its plain language, is that the council has that prerogative to do that first. That's very clear.
well, what I'm trying to understand is, are we making any attempt to try to do this election this year, or has the decision already been taken to do it next year?
Well, it's not about a decision, it's about the timing. You have to count the 30 days. The 30 days is up July 25th. The deadline for the elections department is July 26th.
Seems to be one day before.
You need 2 readings again, and you need 10 days before you.
I understand you need the 2 readings, but one thing doesn't have to do with the other, right? You could be doing you could do the appointment. You don't have to wait 30 days to do the appointment. It's a maximum of 30 days.
No, you
or
have
am
to
I
appoint within the 30 days.
Within, so you could do it within one day.
How would you
I'm asking.
I'm gonna defer to the clerk, but again, yeah, I just don't think that respectfully, I think that, the charter is written, you can't just abrogate or eviscerate it. I mean, it means something. And what it provides is that there's that 30-day period to appoint. And I'm sure that's operated here many times before historically.
All right, so let me ask the question a little bit more simple. Is it a maximum of 30 days, or do we have to wait a minimum of 30 days?
within 30 days of the occurrence of the vacancy? So shall appoint within 30 days of the occurrence of the vacancy. So you have 30 days.
A maximum of 30 days?
You have a period of 30 days to appoint by resolution.
That doesn't say maximum. It says within 30 days. So
So
the
within
30th day.
Within meaning 30 days or less.
Yes, but including the 30 days or less, correct?
30, inclusive of the 30th day. And the deadline to have a special election in November is 31 days from today.
I'm going to
don't
defer,
understand the
I'm going to
question.
defer to you on the questions about the election time.
How many days are between June 25th and July 26th?
31 days.
Okay, so to recap what we just said, 30 days is the maximum that we have to appoint someone. And we could have an election as long as we submit it within 31 days. So it seems to me that there's no inability to have an election in November unless there's wishes not to have an election in November. That's a whole different thing. But I'm saying, legally speaking, we can have an election this November if we wanted to.
No, sir. What we said is that you have 30 days to appoint. That expires July 25th of 2024. And if you're unable to do so, then you would have an election at the next regularly scheduled municipal election or state or federal general election for which there is sufficient time to adopt an ordinance.
Yeah,
That's
but-
what we're seeing.
right. But even if the council does appoint someone, there still needs to be an election.
That
Isn't
is
that what the
correct.
charter says?
At the next municipal scheduled election, which is November of 25, or for a federal state election, that there's sufficient time to adopt an ordinance.
So the election that's November 5th that we just said, and there's 31 days, even if the council took the 30 days, there's sufficient time. That's the whole point.
I don't understand how you're calculating that, sir. You're gonna have to walk me through your thoughts.
All right. Putting aside the argument on the legal perspective.
Mhm.
I mean, for my colleagues on the council, and obviously this is a majority decision, I'm just one vote here. Look, obviously, what we have witnessed with the governor taking his executive authority has put us in a position where we have to deal with this vacancy. Now, 2 years ago, this council dealt with a vacancy where one of our council members resigned and we appointed someone. And then we had elections in November of that year, and it was 2022. And then we had that person that won the election, stayed for a year, then had a second election for that same position.
That is correct, sir, but Oscar de la Rosa resigned in January, and we had an election in November. We still appointed, we still had the 30 days. In this case, you're talking about a vacancy that occurred June 25th, timeline, 30 days, July to November, have an election.
I'm not putting it past that it would be difficult to do. What I'm saying is it's not impossible to do. And that's obviously a policy-making decision that the council has. I just want the council to be very clear that when it makes its decisions, that it has all the complete information, and obviously the council does what it wants to do. If you're asking me, again, I'm one vote, I would suggest that the council either hastily appoint someone, if that's what the council wants to do, or if the council deems that they don't have, a specific person that can fill this position, that we move hastily towards an election in November of this year. That's just my opinion.
Okay. So the plan, city clerk, is we're gonna notice when? Thursday?
Normally the city publishes on Sundays,
Okay,
so we can publish the notice this Sunday.
okay, what's the notice gonna say?
The notice will say, similar to when we published in the past for vacancies.
Mhm.
It will say, notice of vacancy on city council, persons interested in qualifying for appointment must apply.
Okay,
And then it'll have a description of what it is that you need to submit
okay.
and,
then-
and the deadline
And the timeframe?
and the timeframe, yes.
And what is the
Okay, so
deadline?
we would do the deadline, let's see, so if we give at least 10 days, which is what we've done in the past. The deadline would be July 13th. You can submit everything via email, and then the council would meet on July 16th,
Which is Tuesday.
the following Tuesday. That is
Okay.
correct.
And if the council can't come up with an agreement on that Tuesday, what happens?
The council still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 9 days.
Okay, and then to have that following meeting, though, if needed, we need to provide notice, right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so we have a plan then. All right. Any other discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Our regularly scheduled meeting, I was just looking at the calendar, was for July 9th, which is the second Tuesday. Why is it that the special meeting is gonna be on the third Tuesday rather than the 9th, which we were originally gonna meet anyways?
Sir, because we're trying to comply with the deadline of the Miami Herald, we can't just send an ad and it gets published. They have deadlines too. So to publish on Sunday, their deadline is Wednesday by 2 p.m., meaning tomorrow. The vacancy just happened today. So we're trying to publish as soon as possible and obviously give persons of the public the opportunity to submit everything they need to submit. Kind of like when you qualified for office for Hialeah, you had 3 weeks to qualify. So we want to give the public sufficient time to be able to submit and then the council to deliberate. So that's why we're timing it for July 16th.
But we are doing it on this Sunday's paper?
Yes, I need
So,
to submit the ad tomorrow by 2 p.m.
so on the Sunday paper, we can put, when we're putting the ad, we can put instead of July 16th, we could just erase the 1/6 and put a 9?
No, the deadline for them to apply wouldn't be July 16th. The meeting is July 16th. They would be able to apply for 1 week. So until July 13th. We publish the 6th, they apply until the 13th. That's exactly 1 week. And then it gives the council time
Wait,
to
so
review.
Sunday, the ad will come out in the Sunday, June 30th paper. Oh, you're giving them 2 weeks. So you could give them 1 week. You could
I'm
give them
sorry,
1
yes,
week.
2 weeks. Yes, in the past, we've done 10 to 14 days.
That's a 14 days.
Yes,
Okay, but under the circumstances, we could give them 7 days. And then have the meeting on the 9th. And even people that didn't make, the email in the 7 days, they could still show up to the meeting. I mean, there wouldn't be nothing to prevent the council from picking somebody that didn't submit something, right?
well, sir, that wouldn't be my decision to pick the meeting date. That would be for votes of the council or the mayor's call.
Okay, I'm just asking why we
Sure.
did it so
I
far
was
in
trying
advance.
to give everyone the allotted time that we've given in the past.
Right.
All right,
So if I may through the chair,
yes.
okay, so the way that I see it is they don't have 2 weeks. They have only the 10 days because they could only come here Monday through Friday. And then to at least not change the rhythm, at least the meeting will be on a Tuesday. And I think that that makes sense. If we only make it on the 9th, they only have 6 days to turn in their application once it's published, because then it's due already.
Oh, I get it. I just think the application is, what is it, an affidavit that they live in Hialeah? And,
Oh, they
I
also can submit a letter
resume?
of interest, a resume, yes.
don't know, doesn't seem that hard.
But they have to find out that it's happening. They have to figure out if they want to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I
not.
think they're
All
gonna
right.
find out with the news, but, all right,
All right.
it's up to you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to land use. Thank you all.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo. Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Okay. We're gonna move on to LU1.
LU1 is withdrawn, sir.
That's right. LU1 is withdrawn. We're not gonna listen to LU1. LU2.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to transit-oriented development district, property located at 555 East 25th Street, 502 East 26th Street, 512 East 26th Street, 522 East 26th Street, 532 East 26th Street, 540 East 26th Street, 552 East 26th Street, Hialeah Zone P Parking District, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalty for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's the second reading. Do you have any public comments?
None online, sir?
None in the chamber?
Motion.
We have a motion by
Second.
Councilman Zogby and a second by Calvo.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? You want to vote on this item, ma'am, since you're present, or? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Have a good night.
Heading over to PZ1.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district NBD overlay in relation to a proposed mixed-use development, including 21 residential units and approximately 2,050 square feet of commercial space, granting a variance permit to allow 3 residential units with an area of 593 square feet, where only 10% of the residential units may have a minimum area of 600 square feet, waive the building mass and building frontage development standards to allow a site area of 13,500 square feet with a street frontage of 135 feet where a minimum site area of 20,000 square feet and a minimum street frontage of 200 feet is required, and allow 10.71% pervious area where 30% pervious area is required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.2, 98-1630.8, and 98-2056, subsection B2. Properties located at 805 Palm Avenue and 22 East 8th Street, Hialeah Zone CR, Commercial Residential District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's a second reading. Do we have any council discussion?
Through the chair.
Do we have any, I'm sorry, any
No,
public
no.
comments? None,
No, no,
none
no.
online in the chamber. Mr. Cobble?
Hey, Caesar, just to understand this, so basically we're tearing down the existing structure and then we're gonna be doing the 21 units?
That's correct.
All right, and then there's no commercial on the first floor?
There will be.
There will be
There's 2
commercial?
bays of commercial.
Is it the same tenant or it's gonna be somebody else?
No way of knowing.
Okay,
It's gonna be torn down, so unless the tenant wants to come back and apply after it's all done,
right,
which will be a significant amount of time, I don't think so.
okay, got it. Motion otherwise.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion by Cobble, second by the vice president. Call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, PZ2.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K-3 grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 31 students in conjunction with an 83 children daycare. A variance permit to allow 18 parking spaces, 20% of parking spaces authorized on street, where 62 parking spaces are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 9, property located at 980 through 990 West 22nd Street, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in second reading. Any public comments online?
No, sir.
Motion.
None in the chamber. We have a motion by Councilman Zogby,
Second.
second by the vice president. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, PZ3.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 one family district to P parking. Property located at 112 East 14th Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Perfect. This item's in first reading, so not open to public comments or discussions. I also want to note, on the record, I did have conversations with the pastor and with the architect with regards to the parking. And then they're here today.
Okay, basically Manny Roots Architect offices at 18501 Pines Boulevard. We're here today to present the site parking for the church. I have here the pastor that would like to say a few words. The only thing that concerns me is that we don't have enough members to, I understand that we need 4.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, Manny. If you'd like to what would you want to do?
Well, I want to get it approved, but
Right,
But you can't, right, and thank you for bringing that up as well. Yeah, when you're going to need in effect a unanimous vote of the
I know.
remaining body here for any of the items you have left. So if on any of those items, anybody wants to request a continuance because of that, they're free to do so. That would be my view. Thank you.
what do you want to do? Could he make a little speech before?
he
I
could,
make
he
the
could
decision?
speak, Pastor, you know, again, no one anticipated, right, going through this situation and then not having council members, so if you prefer to defer, right, to the next meeting, you can do, you know, I think the council will be more than happy to do that. If you'd like to say a few words as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And name and address, please.
Yeah, Manuel Gomez. My address is 10420 Northwest 74th Street, Medley, Florida 33178. So I have the honor of serving as lead pastor here at Revive Seventh-day Adventist Church located in 1425 East First Avenue. This is the church that actually welcomed my parents and I when we first came from Cuba about 20 years ago. And now I have the opportunity to lead it. Our church has been a part of that community for over 50 years, 54 years actually. And it has been, it is, and it will always be our purpose to serve our community the best way we can. Whether it is providing, you know, spiritual support and hope, peace in the world that we're living in, and also serving the community with whatever physical means we can. That means out of our church, we run a food bank twice a week, where we serve over 100 families that come there and get something so that they can go by. We offer help with shelter and clothing, whatever we can, whenever it's available in order to serve our community. The issue that we have been facing is parking. It's something that happens, I guess, in many businesses and other in Hialeah struggle with the same issue. For us, we have a parking garage adjacent to our building that has, it looks big from the outside, but it has 99 spaces, which means that whenever our attendance hovers around 300, our parking garage gets packed. For over the last year and a half to 2 years, our attendance has consistently been over 300. Especially whenever we have big events like Christmas, Easter, you know, it can go up to 600, which is the capacity of our building, which means that if the street parking around our church on Saturdays, it gets crazy. You know, we fill the garage and then people park whatever they can in the neighborhood. Also, we rent the building to another congregation on Sundays, and they have the exact same issue. So there's 2 days a week that parking gets very challenging around that area. When the lot located in 112 East 14th Street became available for sale, the owners demolished the property that was there, and it opened the opportunity for us to be able, or at least the idea of us to be able to build a parking lot there that would allow capacity. The preliminary drawings show for 19 spaces, which is a 20% increment from what we have in right now, which would alleviate a lot of that burden. Also, in conversations with planning, with the planning and zoning committee and architect, we are very open of allowing for the city to use that parking lot during the week whenever we are not having church services. And if you drive by, you know, First Ave, even right now when I was coming here, you look down 14 and 15th, you're going to see cars parked, you know, on the sidewalk, you know, sometimes in the median on the street. And I know that, you know, 20 spaces can make a difference for the community. So I know that being able to develop this small lot there, it will be a blessing for our church and it will be a benefit for the city as well. And we hope to be able to complete that project with your approval and your help.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Matty. The problem is that there's only 4 of us.
Yeah.
And so if one votes no, then it fails, right? So I would suggest if it's okay with you,
yeah,
we would defer to the next meeting.
Yeah, we have no other choice but to
Yeah.
do that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So can we get a motion to table?
Motion to table to the
Motion-
next meeting.
Motion to
in
table.
August, right?
Which
Next
would be
meeting.
August 13th.
Okay. And
Thank you very much.
hold on one second. All right, just call a roll. Let's call a roll.
We don't have a second.
All right, so hold on one second. Withdraw that motion.
Okay, withdraw the motion to table.
Okay, are you guys good with?
So
are you-
I'll motion to
Yeah.
approve.
Yeah, are you guys good with this project?
I'm
good
going
with
to
it.
second the motion. to
Okay,
table.
so we have a motion to
Oh, wait,
approve.
The
he-
table
I'm
or
going to
to-
second the motion to table.
Oh. Okay. So we have a motion to table it.
So I withdrew the motion to table and I.
Councilman,
to
Councilman,
approve.
do you have any concerns with this item though?
A motion to table.
I'm sorry, this, did you withdraw the motion before it was seconded?
Yes.
Yeah, she would.
Okay, then you would need another motion to table or
Yeah,
I'll
so then
make a
Councilman
motion to
Calvo made a
table.
motion to table, right? And then there's no second yet. But again, my question is, Councilman, I mean, do you have concerns with this item or not?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to hear a little bit more before I make a final decision.
Okay,
Well-
so,
I don't like telling people to take away their motion. That's a little
But-
strange to me.
Okay, but they're here. You
Yeah,
wanna,
I'll happy we can continue the discussion.
oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so what I wanted to understand from here was obviously, and I was just looking at the April 2022 Google Maps. So you're saying that the actual house was demolished already?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously there's a house on either side. So obviously I'm not extremely familiar with this area. I mean, how do you, putting the parking lot in the middle of the street? I mean, I get it. The church is right in front, but isn't it kind of out of place? I mean, for a neighborhood, and I understand the importance of churches in our community, absolutely. And I'm all for that. Obviously, we do have a huge housing necessity as well for single family homes. So how do we reconcile those two things?
Okay, basically, there is no structure on the premises. It's gonna
Right.
be,
Who demolished it? The previous owner?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, we had nothing to do with that.
Okay,
And basically, it's a fully landscaped piece of property with a beautiful aluminum fencing around it and a gate and landscaping. And we're one property away from the corner. As a matter of fact, I was just talking
yeah,
to
I'm looking at the map.
the pastor. They might pursue the possibility of purchasing the corner lot because we're close to First Avenue there, and maybe in the future expanding the parking to there if the council decides to hopefully approve us. I mean, I think it's a plus for the neighborhood. I think it's a plus for the community and a plus for the church. That's why, I mean, I consider it a simple project based on the projects that we do, but I've gotten to know the pastor very well, and I'm trying to do the best we can to get this approved, and that's it. Simple.
Yeah, and I get you. I totally understand. But you just worried me a little bit more because now you're saying, well, we're approving this today and then potentially, in a couple of months, we'll see the next house now become victim to the parking lot issue. I mean, again, it goes back to that balance, which is, yes, we need the churches, we need their membership keeps going up. I mean, forgive me, I don't know how, if there's seating for 600, there's only parking for 99. That's a totally different question, but how do we, at what point do we say no? Like, we want to keep our homes. I mean, it's such a tough relationship. I mean, if you were telling me that it was directly adjacent to the property, it's almost a different question, but this is across the street. I mean, it's the residential portion. Do you have any?
I mean, we're very close to First Avenue, and I believe First Avenue is zone R2, if I'm not mistaken. And we're right across the street from the church, and we're not in the middle of the block, Mr. Calvo. And it's something that they need. It's not something that they want. And I think it would be an enhancement for the community.
Right. So I don't know if this question is better directed to the city attorney, or maybe Deborah has better information. Just looking at from a cost benefit analysis from the city, I mean, I was looking that this folio pays something like $3,500 in taxes. When it's zoned parking, obviously the value of the property dramatically decreases. I don't know how the nonprofit part plays into that.
The non-profit is, they have an exemption.
So they'll pay.
They own the property, so from now on, even if they develop it with something, they won't pay any property taxes.
Yeah, I think that what the director said is correct. The basic issue is of the religious exemption for the, religious organization under, tax exempt under Internal Revenue Code is used for religious purposes and they own it. It is exempt from taxes. It would only be if the church commercialized it, for lack of a better word, and started, doing other uses there that you might have a taxability issue, but not if it's for worshipers.
Right, and how does that play if the city, because we're saying, oh, the city can come in and use this parking spot, or other people can come and use this parking lot? How does that play into the mix? I mean,
Well,
is there a need in this neighborhood for that?
There's a need, and there are regulations that we're working on for affordable housing. And when we had this meeting, all the developers complained how expensive is the parking. So we were thinking on having shared parking. So we will have like a bank of parking spaces. And if someone comes to build affordable housing, and to make that more economically feasible, build less parking spaces, well, they can take advantage of these spaces that are in the bank of shared spaces. That is the idea. The idea is not to open it to the community, because then you have all the efficiencies and Airbnbs and whatever. You don't want to support that illegal business that they have and give them parking.
It's a liability for
But
the
if
church.
you have that bank and you control that, that is, my question is, if they lease those spaces, that will be a commercial use of the property. And in that case, they will need to pay taxes. That I don't know.
I can't speak for the county tax collector, but the county tax collector, if they I can't speak for the county tax collector, but maybe there's someone here who wants to give an opinion, but basically what the county tax collector does in other instances that I have seen is that if there is a lease with a for-profit entity for a commercial use, they may seek to tax the leasehold interest. They will seek to tax a leasehold interest, or if it's not divided from the rest of the parking lot and it's one thing, and it's not subdivided between, let's say, this is the part we're renting out to companies and this is the part for the church, they may seek to tax the whole thing.
Okay, so let me just focus in on my last point, which is the issue with what the gentleman said. So we're gonna have this parking lot is gonna be used by the church, obviously on Saturdays. They rent out the church on Sunday, so it'll be used on Sunday, Monday through Friday. What is the plan?
The
Can we
plan
get
is
can
to
we
have
get details?
those spaces in that bank, and when a development appears that wants to use the
So for
regulations, that for now, there's nothing.
So for
We are
now,
just-
Monday through Friday, there'll be a gate or a rope or whatever, and nobody will be able to use it except for Saturday and Sunday. And then if someday some developer comes, they'll be able to profit from having the parking spaces. They'll give a donation to the church, whatever.
Or a lease or whatever.
But when people are sleeping in on a Saturday morning and the church opens their services at 9 a.m., what happens then? Then the church doesn't have the parking spots either, because the developers'
Well,
tenants are living there.
There would be a contract, and they would have conditions and limitations, yeah.
There'll be days that they won't be able to use.
Right. But the church right now is not locked into that. I mean, that would be if they wanted to. There's nothing right now in the covenants for this property that would force the church to have a developer.
Well, they can proffer a declaration of restrictions and say that they are.
But what is there now? And I understand what they can, but what is there now?
What is there now?
Yes, nothing.
Now there's no declaration of restriction.
Okay.
There's a proposal.
And this is a first reading. So by the second reading, they can proffer that.
Okay.
declaration
You can add that as a condition, as a directive or a request that there be proffered a restrictive covenant with ABC, whatever it is you want to see in it. And
Wanted to, can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
So I wanted to add that it took us, 54 years to get to where we are right now.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're trying to expand tomorrow to, buy more land in the city to alleviate some of your concern there in that aspect. The second thing is, our church has a precedent of trying to help in whichever way we possibly can. I understand that there is, we'll have to work closely with zoning and developers around the area to give a better serve, in order in the city as well, in order for that parking lot to go beyond Saturdays. I have no I have no interest in having that sitting there, for 2 weeks. I mean, for 2 days every week, whenever there is a scarcity of parking in the area. So in whichever way we can work that out in order for that parking to be available and to be useful outside of our service areas, I'm more than willing to work with whoever, whether it's the city or developers or whoever, to make it available.
Yeah.
The whatever means we have, we want to put at the disposal of the community that serves. If my neighbors are not happy with me, or with us as the church, we are doing a disservice and we should close the doors and get done with it. So.
All right, so look, in order to approve this today, here's the two things that I'd like to see. The first one is I'd like to see a covenant saying that this parking lot will not be commercialized in any way, shape, or form, meaning, because I've seen it in other churches, where they'll rent the spots later to truckers or whoever, food truck or whatever, so no commercialization, right? This is going to be used strictly by the church on Saturday and Sunday. And the second thing I'd like to see is I'd like to come up with some sort of plan for what we're doing Monday through Friday, because it seems like we're speaking in hypotheticals. But I'd like to see some concrete plan. I mean, obviously we have all the month of July to come up with something. I'm happy to kick it to second reading, but ultimately that's what I'd like to see.
Mr. Cabo, my question is, in order to develop that plan, which I am very open and willing to do it, which will be the right channel to do so? What conversations do we need to have with whom in order to come up with a plan that will suffice, your
I don't
expectations of that?
think what you have to do is find a specific person, but I think it's having a concrete plan saying that, we're putting it in this bank. This bank has been set up in an official manner. I mean, I think it's a conversation between you and planning and zoning.
First meeting, because in July we work with the regulations and then
Right.
it will come here for first reading and
And then
second
that way it
reading.
can all come together.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't have a problem with that.
Okay, great. All right, motion. Thank you.
So what is the motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve as amended.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, so motion by Calvo, second by the Vice President. Call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for August 13th, 2024.
All right, PZ four.
Is withdrawn, sir.
Yep.
PZ 5 as well.
PZ four, PZ five withdrawn, and PZ six.
First reading of proposed ordinance approving the final plat of tangible investment, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants. Property located at 302 East 11th Street, Hialeah, Florida, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's in first reading. Any council discussion?
Motion.
A motion by Zogby,
Second.
second by the Vice President.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for August 13th, 2024.
PZ seven.
First reading of proposed ordinance vacating, closing, and abandoning for public use the eastern portion of the 12-foot alley running east and west between East 9th Avenue and East 10th Avenue, extending westward for approximately 220 feet more or less from East 10th Avenue, contingent to relocation agreements with the City of Hialeah Public Works, FPL, Florida City Gas, AT&T, and Comcast, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties in violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in first reading, not open to the public. Do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
Chair.
Yes, sir. We also have a motion by Zogby, but go ahead, Mr. Cabo.
Hey, Carlos. So I was looking at this item, and I have a personal relationship with this alleyway because Councilmember Zogby and I, a couple of years ago, actually cleaned up this alleyway. It was in a horrific state. We did a cleanup starting there, went all the way down to the Lee Arts District. I need you to walk me through this because what's the city's not getting any money, right? We're just giving up the alleyway. Am I understanding that right?
Correct. So Carlos Diaz with office at 333 Southeast Second Avenue here on behalf of the applicant. So we're closing this alley. And when you close an alley, typically the alleys are dedicated by the original subdivider.
Mhm.
So whoever owned the land originally, they went in, they platted it. If you could maybe skip a few slides, we can show the alley. And then typically they dedicate the streets and the alleys to the public. And then the city holds
Right.
that in trust for the public,
Right.
but the reversionary rights to the alley are maintained with the abutting property owner. So when you have
Mm.
property owners who abut the alley on both sides, they can petition for the alley to be closed and the reversionary rights to revert back to them. So the city doesn't own the land, they just hold it in trust for the public.
Okay, okay. And then obviously all the, lines that are running through there existingly they've already been probably replaced to other.
Right, so we've worked with, so as you can see here if you go back to the previous slide, this is Metro Park South, right, which is the
Mm.
property on the bottom there. We've also done Metro Park, the original Metro Park just across the street, and then Metro Park North. On all of those projects, we've had to do the same thing, close the alley, and then we had to work with FPL, the city's water and sewer, Public Works Department, and we had to relocate all of those lines and basically put them on the street, or sometimes we had to enhance the infrastructure as well.
Right.
And we have letters from all utility companies consenting to the alley closure.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Do we have so we have a motion by Councilman Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you
Second
very
reading and public hearing is scheduled for August 13, 2024.
Thank you.